You may know him as a successful businessman or as a husband and father. You may not know that he recently came out as gay later in life. He is the co-host of a podcast called Coming Inside Out. And I think you're really going to enjoy listening to him speak. He has so many really warm, inspirational, amazing things to say about it. And I think this is the perfect time for him to share. It's Mark Dembo.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bobby, for that incredibly kind and warm introduction. And is it afternoon or evening? I'm not sure. So good, whatever, everybody, and happy Pride. I want to thank the town of Bedford, the town board, Bobby, Ellen, and everybody involved in organizing today's event. And it really is an honor to be asked to be here. As Bobby said, for those of you who don't know me, Bedford was home to me for much of my adult life. I raised my family here. My daughters grew up here. I was involved, as Bobby said, in a number of committees. I was chair of the Bedford Democratic Committee for a number of years. This community here shaped me in many ways, and it'll always be an important part of my life. And it was always wonderful to be a part of such an open, inclusive, welcoming community. You can walk downtown in Katona or stop at Chico's for a quick grocery run and always run into somebody, a friend, a neighbor, and just chat. That's what makes this town special. As Bobby said, about 3 years ago, I had a major change in my life when I came out as a gay man. For most of my life, I lived according to who I thought I was supposed to be. I was a husband, a father, professional, community leader. Those were all real parts of me, and they still are. But there was another part of me that I spent decades trying to suppress, ignore it, explain it away, because I was afraid of what it would mean if I acknowledged it. Like many people who come out later in life, I became very good at fitting in. What I wasn't very good at, though, was being fully myself. Coming out certainly changed that. It wasn't easy. It affected relationships. It required difficult conversations. It forced me to rethink many things I thought I knew about myself. But it also gave me something else I didn't realize was missing: freedom. The freedom to stop pretending, to stop carrying secrets, the freedom to build a life that felt honest and aligned with who I am. 3 years ago, I was at this event as a member of the community, as an ally, but I could have never imagined myself being up here giving these remarks. You know, a few days ago, I was talking with some members of a gay fathers group that I'm a part of, and somebody asked a question that really stuck with me. They asked, does pride still matter? It's a fair question. After all, we've made some pretty tremendous progress. Many LGBTQ people can live openly today in ways that previous generations could only dream about. We can marry, we can raise families, we can build careers, we can participate openly in our communities in many places, and these things matter. And in thinking about that question, I found myself thinking about where Pride began. It didn't start as a celebration. It started as a protest. In the wake of the Stonewall Uprising more than 50 years ago, LGBTQ people stood up and demanded something very simple: the right to be seen, the right to be treated with dignity, the right to live openly. The first Pride marches were acts of courage. People risked their jobs, their reputations, their relationships, and sometimes even their own safety, simply by showing up. Yes, we've come a long way since then. The fact that we're standing here tonight in Bedford, raising a pride flag is evidence of that progress. But the thing is, pride still carries the spirit of those early marches. It's still about visibility. It's still about dignity. It's still about belonging. You know, when pride won't matter is when we don't need to think about these things anymore. But we're not there yet. Today, pride is still about making sure that no one feels they have to hide who they are. When I think back on my own life, I often wonder how my own journey might have been different if I'd seen more examples of people living openly and authentically when I was younger. How many years would I have spent questioning myself? How many years would I have spent trying to fit into a version of life that wasn't fully mine? And that's why pride still matters. Somewhere tonight, maybe right here amongst us, there's a young person trying to figure out who they are. Somewhere there's a parent worried about whether their child will be accepted. Somewhere there's a man or a woman in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, or beyond, who's still wondering whether it's too late to live authentically. And they're watching. They're paying attention to the messages that communities send. When a town raises a pride flag, it's not just raising a flag. It's making a statement. It says you belong here. You're welcome here. You don't have to hide. That message matters, and especially at a time when we continue to see the efforts to roll back rights, to erase LGBTQ identities, to censor conversations about who we are, and push people back towards silence and invisibility. Progress is not something we can take for granted. Visibility is not something we can take for granted. And acceptance is not something we can take for granted. Again, the fact that we are here tonight in Bedford raising this flag together would have been difficult to imagine for many people who marched in the early days of the movement. Their courage made this moment possible. Our responsibility is to ensure the next generation inherits a community where everyone knows they belong. It's a reminder that life becomes richer when we stop trying to be who others expect us to be and start becoming who we truly are. Thanks for allowing me to be part of the celebration here tonight. And I wish you all a very happy Pride. Thank you.
Mark, we are so honored to have you here. You exceeded all expectations, and we will have you back anytime. Before I introduce the next